Welcome to the Sports Hangover. I'm Michael Benatar, joined alongside J Dawg.
Mike, it's good to see you. You survived Florida spring break. I'm
Alive.
glad you're here. You're not coughing. You can smell things okay?
Yeah, I didn't catch COVID. I was definitely worried eating indoors, but I'm back. I'm safe. I got the first shot. So we just found out before the pod. I'm like 80% effective against the coronavirus. So I feel
Your
good.
efficacy is really high. You're higher than a one Johnson & Johnson already. I also got the shot. We both did it legally. We're not the line cutters you see on Instagram. You always wonder like how those people get it.
There's line cutters? There's people.
Oh yeah, there's a lot of corruption out there. You got to watch out for that. But we both have the one shot. Our second Pfizer's coming. So the Roaring 20s will be here before you know it. I'm making big plans this summer.
Oh yeah, traveling, parties, indoor gatherings. That's what
indoors.
Indoors.
You can actually go inside of a restaurant, a bar, like sticky floors, bathroom lines. It's all coming back.
Jeremy, you're going to be out here in like a month from now. We are opening bars up next week. They will be open for drinks outside only, which is a good thing because we always complain there's not enough outdoor dining or drinking here. All the bars will be open and be able to have people outside drinking, which I'm very excited about. Summer's coming. And there's going to be tons of street drinking. So that's what I'm looking forward to.
Wait a second, Mike. You're in Los Angeles, if anyone doesn't know. And I think there's no bars that have kept their business alive since COVID happened because of your Governor Gavin Newsom. So are you sure the bars will open? Are there any bars to actually open?
I think it might be more for restaurants that also are bars because all bars that started serving food to reopen. So the ones that were smart enough to get like a food truck outside and say, we have
make
food.
It grilled cheese and you can serve alcohol with it.
That's exactly what they did. And that's what this bar down the street did for me. They give you a voucher, you get a free food, and not free food, it's $10 and you get to go in and drink. So
I'm pumped. The $7 drink from Snake Pit in West Hollywood will never taste as good as the first one after a long layoff.
So excited to sit on those like gross, dirty chairs and everything. All right. I wanted to talk about, I found all this info. I had no clue. This was nowhere to be found. I had no clue that they extended the regular season of the NFL to 17 games. To 17 regular season
They did
games.
it a while ago. It just became like real public this week, but it was agreed 2 months ago. I don't know why it was a surprise. You host a sports podcast. You should know these things. So we're going to 17 games. The Super Bowl's pushed back. The Super Bowl in LA will actually be February 13th now. They're pushing it to mid-February. It's like football season will never end, which for people like us, degenerates, we love it. We're happy about that. The wives don't love it, but we do.
So this is the first time since 1978, because in 1978, it jumped from 14 to 16 games, which I had no idea. All these stats, these are some great stats. So we're expanding the season. So now we're going to 17 to 18 weeks. And first, I guess they can't play more than 20 combined regular season games. So they're cutting down the preseason. So now there's one less preseason. Which kind of makes sense.
That was important anyway. Yeah.
Yeah. We don't need any more of that. And all 32 clubs, I don't know why they call them clubs, will have to play overseas at some point, international, at least once every 8 years.
Wow. That's a big move. They're really expanding international. We've seen games in Mexico, several in London. I wonder what's next. Are we going to get some Asia?
Now they're looking at Canada, Europe, South America. Those are the
South America football. NFL is big in Mexico and South America, so that's interesting. I think it's great. You know, it's going to mess up all the stats because like quarterback's going to throw for a certain amount of yards in a season. It's like the most ever. Well, he played an extra game. Of course, it's the most ever. And then you're going to see teams that are going like 10-7, and like that's weird, or like 3-14. Like all these records will sound weird too.
They're gonna look a little different, feel a little different. But I think it's good. I think we always need, like, we could have wiped out preseason altogether and had all regular season games. Just start off the season. Like, let's see it sloppy because it's so sloppy when it starts. And let them
think you have to have some battles, right? You have to have like the backup defensive end battle. Like let them both go out there and see who's better.
But did it ever really matter? Like you watch Hard Knocks and they're like training camp, like Chargers and Rams, they're playing against each other. And they're always cutting guys. They're like, all right, this week we got to cut this. Like you have to get down to you don't have to be 52 by the time preseason starts, right? You're at what, like 100 or something by then, and then you cut down.
Yeah, you
75.
start with 100. You're down to 53 by early September.
I don't know. I'm excited for it. I think this is great. I wish Super Bowl stayed the same because it was great because it's usually like my birthday weekend or the weekend after, so it was a nice back to back. Now a little wait. So
well, one of the good things, and maybe this will work out in the future, it's not going to happen next year, is Monday is President's Day for a lot of folks. And now we're pushing later in February where it could happen where the Super Bowl's on a Sunday and we get our wish, a Monday off. And after our last president, maybe we need to get rid of President's Day anyway. Maybe just call President's Day Super Bowl Monday. And our biggest idea ever on the Sports Hangover will have came true.
I did try registering for it last year, the Sports Hangover Day, because obviously it's the biggest day to be hungover. So hopefully we can get it. I'm going to try to register it because now it's a new date. I was registered for the other date. I got to move it to this new date. So this is what I'm going for, the second Monday in February.
Exactly. And I think the ladies will have a problem with this at some point because we're not seeing it this year, but Valentine's Day Super Bowl will be a thing. It's on the 13th. So as the calendar cycles through, we're going to get a February 14th Super Bowl. That's not going to go over well. So I still think like pushing it to Saturday, like move it around a little, give us that morning off the next day. We're old now. We don't feel like drinking a lot and going to work the next morning. So give us that day, please.
No, I love it. You want to do J Dawg Takes On? What do you want to do?
No, let's do breaking news.
Ooh, breaking news. Hold on. Got to find it. There it is.
Mike, NFL draft shakeups everywhere. The Dolphins were wheeling and dealing. They went from 3 to 12 to 6. That's big news. The 49ers gave up 3 first-round picks to move up in the draft. They're going to take a quarterback. We don't know who it is yet, but we know your boy, Jimmy G, is out. And the Eagles are saying, we're okay with Jalen Hurts. It's a great quarterback class, but we don't need to replace Jalen Hurts. So there's 3 ways to go. Where do you want to start?
Well, first, can we start with, was this a good move for Miami? Because I was very confused about all the moves. All of a sudden I saw trade over here. What's happening? What really happened? Because they didn't move much and then they gave up a little and got some more back. What are they doing?
It was a busy day, like out of nowhere, like all those trades, especially for a Dolphins fan like me. So one great thing is we're sticking with Tua, and that's a great move because we don't need a quarterback right now. I would have loved to have Deshaun Watson. We know that's not possible right now. One thing it does open up in the possibility in the future, if Deshaun Watson is cleared, if it turns out he is not guilty, the Dolphins did acquire that extra first-round pick in 2 years that they could sling in a deal. So that's something in the back of your head. For now, we're building around Tua. So they move back. They get the extra first-round picks. They give one to the Eagles to move back up.
Hold on. So the move back was because now they're confident with Tua. They're saying, we're not going after Deshaun. Things are going on with him. I don't know what, but they've moved on. So that you're saying
you can't draft a quarterback again the year after you have Tua. You just can't do it.
I mean, you could. Didn't they do it the year when they got your other boy too? They traded for him.
Well, the Josh Rosen. The Cardinals did that. They had Rosen, then they went to Kyler Murray. That was different because they had the number 1 overall pick. If the Dolphins had the number 1 overall pick, they'd probably take Trevor Lawrence and ship Tua out. So from a Dolphins perspective, it's great. We're going to take probably a receiver or a tight end there at number 6 overall. Give Tua that number 1 weapon he's been craving. I love it for them. The 49ers. They are screwing Jimmy G, who's on a big contract but can't stay healthy. And we saw it in that Super Bowl against the Chiefs. He was not good. He threw like 10 passes. They were a running game. Remember Mostert took over that Super Bowl game?
A lot of throws over the receivers, like wide open, just overthrowing a lot of,
He missed Emmanuel Sanders down the middle on a wide open bomb. So Shanahan basically admitting Jimmy G's not the guy was pretty fascinating to me because I feel like their roster is pretty good. They have great offensive line, great skill position, great defense, but Jimmy G's not the guy. So to go to a rookie, I don't know. And then they're saying they're going to keep Jimmy G this year, but I feel like he has max trade value this year. If he has another bad year, gets hurt again, his trade value is only going to get worse. Doesn't Bill Belichick want Jimmy G back? Don't the Carolina Panthers need a quarterback? Jimmy G has a market right now.
Does it make more sense though to keep him, get him a little pissed off? If whatever, you're bringing in a younger guy, there's a little motivation here, kind of like what Tom Brady was when Tom Brady was like, oh, I don't want Jimmy G here because he's going to ruin what I got going on or whatever he's doing. I think that competition is what you need. There was no other competition, right? But that backup there was decent, whatever his name was. I forgot what his name was.
Not decent.
He was Beathard. He wasn't bad. He wasn't as bad as some other.
They weren't winning games, and that's what matters. And clearly Shanahan said, I need to try something else.
So do you think
the interesting component, I think, is that the 49ers are going to have this great team and the young quarterback. So then you think Jimmy G will probably play this year and they're going to sit the quarterback to learn. And we've seen it in past circumstances. Aaron Rodgers to Brett Favre, Patrick Mahomes, his first year in Kansas City, he didn't play. Alex Smith still started every game. So I feel like they're trying to go that route. Jimmy G, is he going to mentor him? He's not young. He's like 20. I mean, he's not old. He's 28, so he's still like in the prime. I don't know. It's like a weird situation. I think they should just trade him after they draft the quarterback and commit to the quarterback this year.
I guess it's hard because he has such a big contract, right? So you're going to have to offload this contract. People know who Jimmy G is like at this point. I would say mediocre quarterback, like not terrible, not great, not bad.
And you're saying that you're a Jimmy G guy.
I do like Jimmy G. He's a good looking guy. I love him, but he just didn't perform. He didn't perform, right? And like in the spots that you wanted him to, he's handing off the ball. Like, let's just run the ball. Let's give it to this other guy.
And so the biggest thing is he couldn't stay healthy. Every time he would go down, their season was ruined. And it's like, what are you doing? Your roster's too good to give up on it. So I think that's an interesting component. The other thing I find maybe the most interesting in the whole thing is the Eagles. With Jalen Hurts, who's not that good, they're saying we want to trade back and not be a part of this quarterback group. We might see 5 quarterbacks go in the first 6 picks. The Eagles had the 6th pick. There's a lot of quarterbacks out there. The Alabama dude, Mac Jones, Trey Lance is a project, but he's good. Zach Wilson, maybe to the Jets or the 49ers from BYU. There's a lot of options. The Eagles are saying, no, we're going to go into next year with Jalen Hurts. And then if it doesn't work out, we have 2 first-round picks in the following year to maybe trade up, maybe do a Russell Wilson thing. Maybe that works out. I just don't like the idea of committing to Jalen Hurts. He's not good.
I mean, it kind of makes, he wasn't bad, right? He was kind of good for those first few games, and then people figured him out. But I think he was better than Carson Wentz, like a lot better, right? When you were watching him on the field, you're like, this guy can actually win a game if he could understand the offense a little better. Right, he was a rookie last year.
I don't think he's a good passer. I really don't think Jalen Hurts is a good passer. I sat, Mike, in the 5th row of an Alabama game against Ole Miss. Tough road game for Jalen Hurts. He was the starting quarterback at the time. He had all these weapons like Jerry Jeudy and the whole crew out there. The dude was bad that day. He could not throw the ball. Yes, he could run, but the NFL is a passing league. It's great that these quarterbacks can run around and scramble and get out of trouble, but like Kyler Murray will never be at his best until he's an accurate passer, and the same thing for Jalen Hurts.
Yeah, it's tough. I mean, you almost have to model it off Russell. Like he scrambles, but he scrambles when it is necessary. And a lot of these guys are using it as the first, this is my decision. I'm just going to go run. We'll see. I mean, it's weird because I don't think Philadelphia understands how they believed in Carson Wentz for so long. So how is it a surprise that they believe in Jalen Hurts? Like Carson Wentz was terrible after he didn't win a Super Bowl.
Carson Wentz was really good. They traded a lot of assets to trade up to get Carson Wentz.
No, he was good. And then he hurt himself, right? Nick Foles stepped in. They got a Super Bowl. And then after that, he had no confidence. So I think he has to rebuild his confidence. Get him. Where is he now? Where's Carson Wentz? Is he still there?
He's with the Colts.
The Colts. Okay. So we'll see how that goes.
You know what's interesting? Carson Wentz, if he stays healthy all season, the Eagles, right now it's a 2nd-round pick that they get for Carson Wentz. If he stays healthy and plays every game, it'll be a 1st-round pick. And then they'll have the Dolphins pick and their own pick. Like if they're bad, they could send an epic package, one for Deshaun Watson next season or Russell Wilson. Damn. I could see Russell going to Philly. It's a big city close to New York City. The Eagles might just be saying, let's wait until this quarterback situation works itself out, knowing that Jalen Hurts won't be good, just to wait a year.
Yeah, I mean, I can see it. Why not wait now? Because if you're not going to be in the top, 3, you think, for the quarterbacks? Just wait.
There's 5 good ones. So the draft is in 4 weeks. I love the draft. I do mock drafts. I'm going to post one on popline.co leading up to it as we get a little more information. But the workouts, the pro days are happening. Florida, Mike, has a killer tight end. His name's Kyle Pitts. He might go 4th overall to the Falcons. That would be the earliest he can go. He's in the mix for the Dolphins at 6. You know who would love him? The Panthers love their weapons to put with McCaffrey. LSU has a stud receiver, Jamar Chase, ran a super fast 40 today. He was catching bombs from Joe Burrow. Will the Bengals pick him up at number 5 overall, or will he slide to the Dolphins at number 6? Alabama's got some receivers. And then, like I said, there's 5 quarterbacks who could probably go in the first 5 or 6 picks. So draft season is upon us. I love it.
Who have the first 6 picks? Lay them out to me because I have no idea who has first. Who has first? So overall? First
up, the Jaguars, and we're glad it's not the Jets. The Jets won that game late in the season, and they blew it. They blew it with their record, and then the Jags got the first pick, Trevor Lawrence. That's why Urban Meyer's going to coach them. It's just a great setup for them. 2, the Jets, probably Zach Wilson, this QB from BYU, but the quarterback from Ohio State, Justin Fields, had a great pro day. He ran a 4.40, Mike. I know you don't know what that means, but that's really good for a quarterback.
You know what? We should do our pro day. We should try to run and see who can run the fastest. We should do that. And,
you should do that. You're supposed to kick a field goal still. Did you ever do that?
Listen, you'll be here in a few weeks, and we'll try that. We'll do a 4.40, and then we'll do a little pro day.
Who will the 40, me or you?
Who will win the 40? Oh, I can run faster than you for sure.
I don't know. We'll see.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
That's actually 100%. A good one.
All right. We'll
listeners
see.
will love that content. Just to finish the top 5, number 3, the Niners. Now they're in the mix for the quarterback. At number 4, it's the Falcons. It's an interesting situation. Do they go weapon for Matt Ryan, or do they say we're never going to pick this high again? Do we replace Matt Ryan?
You replace Matt Ryan. If you were smart, you replace Matt Ryan. Get him out.
You're quick on that one.
Yeah, get him out. Matty Ice has frozen over. He's gone. You need the ship has sailed. Get him out.
He's got 2 years left on his contract. They can't buy him out. It's massive contract. So you think he's going to be there for 2 more years?
So get him there for 2 years, get this guy, this quarterback, and see what happens. Or trade him. You could also trade that asset too. If like you send them in a game and he looks really good, trade him away if you don't want.
The reason it's more likely is they have a new head coach, new GM. They could be trying to start over. Number 5 is the Bengals. They have Joe Burrow. Now they need offensive line protection because they can get him all the weapons they want. But if they can't keep him healthy, which he wasn't obviously last year coming off the ACL, it's not worth it. So it's an interesting question. Do you go offensive line, protect him at all costs? Or do you give him his stud receiver from college, the one he set records with and won a championship with?
Well, the question, I guess what matters is if you have a, 5th round pick, 6th round pick, can you trade back and get 2 first-round picks and just pick up 2 offensive linemen in the first round?
Well, apparently, Colin Cowherd said this on his show, and it's very interesting. The Bengals have never made a first-round trade in their entire history, and their owner might not know how a computer works, and they might draft by fax machine, and they never do anything. They're just so stuck in their ways. So maybe most teams would trade out, but not the Bengals.
Okay, interesting. I had no idea.
Dolphins
what a weird fact.
Yeah, it is weird. Then the Dolphins are 6 and ready for any weapon that falls to them after all the quarterbacks. So I'm pumped for draft season, if you can't tell, and we're only a few weeks away.
Ooh, draft season. All right, what do you got?
I have a question for you. Let's just go bullshit or believe.
Okay. Bullshit or believe time. Bullshit or believe time. Bullshit or believe.
Big news this week. DraftKings is acquiring VSIN, who does 18 hours of content. Your boy Mike Lombardi is a part of VSIN. Brent Musburger's doing content. They have a studio in Las Vegas on the Strip. It really seems like sports betting is taking off. So I have 3 of the next frontiers for you. Okay. And I want you to rank them in terms of momentum. Who has the most momentum of these 3 sectors, we'll say?
Love it.
1, sports betting. Obviously about to take off. Number 2, cannabis. We saw just today, New York State legalizing marijuana.
Huge for you, Jeremy. Huge.
Not for me, but I'm sure it's for other people. The pot stocks are really going up a lot today. And then space. I think space, we don't talk about this enough. We're in 2021.
Space is outer space.
Tourism, outer space. In 2021, space tourism will exist. Jeff Bezos is stepping back from day-to-day at Amazon so he can work on his Blue Origin space deal. Elon Musk loves SpaceX. The smartest people in the world are working on space. So that's why I put that in there. So sports betting, cannabis, space, rank the sectors by momentum.
So momentum has to be gambling. The most public eyes on it, people use it. How likely is it for me and you to go to outer space? I would say a slim chance in the next 20 years that we decide to go pay 40 grand to go up in a spaceship. I get nervous flying. Okay. So imagine me going to a spaceship. Probably not.
You don't do roller coasters. You're probably not going to take a roller coaster to outer space.
So
just to combat that point while you're talking about it, Tom Cruise is going up there to space to shoot a movie at the ISS.
Tom Cruise is insane. Tom Cruise is insane.
Well, what I was going to say is, as a part of the news media, I'm not saying it's impossible that I'll never just go produce a show in space in 20 years. It's not impossible.
I believe it. So really, I guess, with the gambling side, I mean, Spotify, this is one of my random facts too. Spotify just scooped up Locker Room, which I mentioned about 3 weeks ago. It's like a Clubhouse clone, but you all talk sports the entire time. Yeah. It's basically like me and you doing this right now, except in a locker room or some sort. So I think this space of having other assets alongside of you, like DraftKings is no longer just gambling. They're trying to have information and media eventually becoming, what ESPN is. Everybody's basically trying to shift out their own little section of the space, right? So DraftKings is expanding, Spotify is expanding, trying to be something bigger. So I think
speaking of that, just to capitalize on that point, all the Fox Sports regionals are rebranding today as Bally Sports. They're not called like Fox Sports
like
LA.
Bailey,
It's now called Bailey or Bally, whatever it is, Sports LA, and it's all their gambling. Like those are casinos. Like there's one in Vegas. There's casinos everywhere. So they're rebranding as these like casino things to encourage more gambling and sports betting.
I think when sports betting is easier to do legally, like there are unofficial apps you can use and gamble on your phone. But when they're across the entire country and I can go to a true casino, sports casino down the street from me, that's when it will become a lot bigger, because those people will make a lot more money in person when you're there. When you're at home, it's very casual. You're not putting thousands of dollars down, but when you are in a casino, you're drunk, the lights are dim, you got 500 screens in front of you. That's when you want to gamble more, right?
That's
like when we go, you just look, like, all right, I'm going to do all these. I'm going to do some of this. It feels like fake money when you're there. And if they can get those expanding, I think gambling for sure. And I don't even think there's enough. I think there's plenty of content out there, but I don't think people are delivering it the right way, because they're just giving you picks. And a lot of guys, I think I listened to a podcast. I don't know if it's like betting pros or something. They're more they give an analysis on why their model's picking this and how they got to this, and just kind of more in depth about it. And I don't know if that's the way they go with it, or, the way we do it, where we just pick teams and kind of talk about why, the feel of it. I think there's still sort of a way. I don't think people have figured it out yet, basically, because it's still so new.
There's a lot there. I mean, Portnoy's trying to figure it out, but what's he doing? He's actually opening up like brick and mortar, like you say, like get people in, get them liquored up, and then you're spending money, and then you're probably using when you're not in the casino during the work week, you're probably on your Barstool app placing bets. Now then there's like Fubo TV, who are like trying to do like immersive sports betting inside like the TV. Yeah. It doesn't make sense to me either. Like, we're on our phones all the time. I don't need to bet on the TV. My phone's in my hand.
Take longer for me to figure out how to bet on my TV than it would be to
and it's going to be glitchy and not like as on point. Like our phones are just so immersive now. So I don't know. There's a lot of ways, but you're probably right. But that means a lot of
number two.
To go.
What was number two? What were we talking about?
Cannabis.
Pot?
You probably have cannabis.
Cannabis.
It's taken
That's
off.
big. I think when all the states become legal, but also there has to be clearer and easier ways to transport marijuana across borders, because right now when you're registered in a state, you cannot legally transfer it to another state, so you technically have to grow it legally. Yes. So when you have to grow it in that state, or it's very complicated. Same with CBD. You can ship it everywhere, but there's no real regulations on it, so they need to kind of figure out a way similar to liquor. And I think that's what's going to slow it down the most, because that means it's politics. With gambling, it's very easy. Hey, do you want to open up a casino and get a little extra tax money? That's easy to convince people. You've seen Ozark. You just knock off a few people and you get a casino boat going. Easy. But I think the pot thing, people get so politicized against it, and all these different reasons why. That's still hard. I mean, it's moving, but I don't think it will be moving as fast as gambling and the moon, or whatever you want to do in space.
The moon. So you're going sports betting 1, the moon 2, and cannabis 3.
No. I would do cannabis 2 and then moon 3, because
moon 3, moon last.
The moon is like, you got to do a lot of test flights before I'm comfortable going up in a damn spaceship.
I know you won't ride a roller coaster, so you're not going to space anytime soon. I think the interesting thing about sports betting and cannabis is a lot of states are in debt more than ever right now because of COVID, and like they had to pay for the testing and pay for the vaccinations, and like California for one, and most other ones not named Florida are in massive debt right now. So I think legalizing sports betting and taking a percentage of taxes and doing the same thing on pot sales are going to be one way to instantly boost their revenue. There's not going to be two easier ways to do it. So I think they're both rocket ships. The true rocket ship, and my number one on my rankings, would be outer space. Like I said, the smartest people in the world are working on this. Kathy Wood, the smartest investor that I know, as part, Kathy?
Of course, ARK. Yeah, ARK
from ARK Invest. She just started the space ETF this week. So I think space, I'm putting number one.
But with space, I think it's more for the few. Like, these are rich, bored billionaires, right? They're like, let me see if I can get there. This is kind of fun tinkering. I got a shitload of money. I think this is more for the future of the planet, not for the future of us right now, because at some point, I feel like scientists are saying, we're like, we got to get off of here, right? Like, we only have 50 years left of growing crops or something. Like, we got to get out. So, or we got to figure out a way to mine other stuff and get other resources. So
I guess all the body hacking, brain hacking you're doing, you're going to be around a long time, Mike. You will be off this planet too.
Yeah, maybe I will, or maybe I'll just like have a bunker underground. Who knows? Who knows what's going to be happening?
Going the other way. So number 2, it's tough, but I'd say cannabis just because of the medical side of it. I think is huge. Plus recreational, so you combine the two. There's no medical side to sports betting unless it's to lose money and get frustrated. So that's not good. And sports betting number 3, but I think all 3 are just very promising sectors. So I thought it was a fun game.
And you mentioned Barstool. Do you know anything about the Michael Rappaport thing? I had no idea this was all happening. I didn't even know they were like enemies at some point. I didn't know anything about this. I had to
he was a part of Barstool for a minute, and then they had a bad breakup, as Portnoy does with everyone whoever leaves Barstool. Like that's just inevitable. I work at Barstool. Well, you're going to break up with Portnoy at some point. Yeah. And I guess there's a deposition, and the tapes came out. I don't know much more than that.
Yeah, I don't know much either. I didn't know they made a T-shirt about him. I thought that was that T-shirt, that clown T-shirt. I thought that was for Roger Goodell. I had no idea it was Michael Rappaport.
It was about Roger Goodell, unless they did Rappaport later.
They did Rappaport later. That's what the defamation case I think was about. I watched a lot of stuff on it, just trying to figure it out, but I still didn't really totally. Yeah, big.
Let's do J Dawg Takes On before we get out of here.
J Dawg Takes On.
It's not sports, but it's a stat, so I thought I'd share it with you. J Dawg Takes On religion. Tune out if you're celebrating Easter as we speak. You know, I thought it was very appropriate. We got Easter coming this weekend. We got Passover going on right now. I know you're not eating bread. Did you have a Seder with your dad?
No, I think we had wine and meat, but close enough.
Okay, we had a Seder over here last weekend. It was great. Read the 4 questions. Mike, in 2000, 70% of U.S. adults belonged to a church. Feels reasonable, fair, a lot of folks. In 2020, 20 years later, we are down to 47% of U.S. adults belong to a church, a drop of 70 to 47%. As we know in our friend group, and as I so rudely found out one night, religion is not a part of our lives, the millennial lives. I'm sure the Generation Z underneath us doesn't do religion either. They don't even do genders. Why would they do religion? So I just feel like religion is out, and J Dawg is taking on religion as it disappears off the face of America, at least.
Well, so I would say like 6 years ago, we were in a bar, me, you, a few friends, getting drunk in a New York bar underground somewhere, and somehow religion came up, and all of us except for you believed, right? So we were all just like, oh my God, Jeremy, like what's going on? So it's like kind of like we had no idea, and this is a weird thing that I guess we just don't discuss. And I think that's the whole point to this. I think a lot of people are just like, yeah, it's not like what I'm doing. I don't go to church. Like everybody just wants to stay home or whatever. But it is weird. It's like I think back in the day when our parents were growing up, it was kind of a thing, you know, you go to church, kind of like a more community feel. And I think now the community's online and there's like, well, what's the reason? I can be spiritual, you know, can do all that stuff. What do you feel about it, Jeremy?
Yeah, I think there's, like you said, that's a great point. There's less reason. There's community anywhere you go, whether it's on your phone or out your door or in any group that you choose to meet up with here in the Roaring 20s. And also it's tough to say, and maybe this is a hot take, but I feel like science has never been like a bigger deal, and religion and science aren't even always on the same page. And that's going down a weird road, but I just feel like there's almost more just rational thinking instead of just believing in something else. But there's probably a lot of reasons out there as well, but a huge drop. And I think it's going to keep dropping based on our generation and those younger than us too.
That was a good take on. I have 2 stats right here. This is about COVID, talking about the Roaring 20s. 20 out of the 30 teams welcome fans to their stadium Monday night. The only ones that remain are Bulls, Clippers, Kings, Lakers, Nuggets, Thunder, Timberwolves, Trailblazers, Warriors, and Wizards that do not have people in their stands yet, which is kind of crazy that we're actually opening up. We're getting there, Jeremy. This time last year, we thought this was only going to last like 3 months. It was, I haven't listened to any of the shows from last year, but the way I think we were more excited. We're like, oh, this is interesting. And then it just kind of dropped. Then we were just like, God damn, it
was tough.
Fun.
Around this time, I'd say around April 1st, it got pretty rough.
Well, then it became real. It's like, this ain't slowing down. There are millions. You got to watch this documentary on HBO. It's about the cruise ship that was stuck out at sea.
Okay.
Holy shit.
I heard that one was good. There's another documentary on the day that sports stopped, and I heard that was not good. So I'm not going to watch that one now.
Yeah, I wasn't going to watch that one either because I know that story. Like it didn't really affect anybody.
Our podcast told that story.
These people were fucking stuck on a cruise ship for so long, and it looked terrible. Just the way they couldn't leave their room. No one knew anything about COVID. Just watch it. It's on HBO.
So how was this shot? Was there a lot of iPhone footage of people just on the ship?
All the footage was from people on the ship, which I thought was great.
I wonder if they paid licensing for that or they just gave it to them.
I think the people that survived, like out of the 500 people or something, like 70 people died on that boat, which is wild.
I didn't know it was that much either. That was happening at the time, but there were so many other things happening at the time. Like that was only in the background. Like, there's a ship with COVID out there. Wait, there's COVID in my neighborhood. Like there was only so much you could care about at the moment.
I know it was wild, but yeah, watch it. I thought it was really good.
Speaking of fans back, so baseball is letting fans back at every stadium, different percentages. Texas, Dallas, 100% is allowed in. Most places are like 30 to 50% and growing throughout the season. But then just tonight, opening day is tomorrow, by the way. We didn't talk baseball. You don't let me. But tomorrow's opening day. Just today, the Washington Nationals have a COVID positive player and 5 players are on the list. So it's like we're doing this all again in 2021. I thought we were done with that.
Everybody should go get the shot if they can get it so we can all go back to normal. I think that's the way to do it.
Agreed. Yes.
Go get it. We got to go back to normal.
Sign off on that. Let's get back to normal. All right. We'll end on that. Get back to normal.
All right. Check out thesportshangover.com. Oh, new t-shirts up next week. Jeremy's, you sent me 2 ideas. We have a few more maybe coming in the way. We'll have our summer collection. It is 95 degrees here today on Lake. I'm ready for summer. Do you see this tan on me? Do you see I'm a little red today? I got a little color.
Wow.
I'm ready.
Climate change really hitting you guys.
Yeah, so it's great. I wish I had a pool. I don't have a pool, but it is very, very hot out. So sportshangover.com, all the summer stuff will be there. Follow us on Instagram at the Sports Hangover Podcast. And if we don't get rest of most of the reviews, hopefully we are back